Going live, and I'm live now. What am I singing? That's not on brand of me. This chat is really not on brand. Talking about Dune. I need to vent. I need to talk. I need to chat about Dune. Uh, it's it, it it's a movie. It's a movie. I'm acting like it's not good. I just say it's bad. It's terrible, despite what the title says. Waiting for people to come in. Waiting. I don't know if people are gonna show up. I haven't gone live in like forever. It feels like, um, and it's also a very random time. I don't usually go live. Well, I think I do go live this. I don't know. I don't know. And usually I schedule it ahead of time, so at least people get a notification. I got one person watching, most likely a lurker, but yeah. And so we're gonna talk about Dune. I don't know. Who are you? Who's watching me? Watch, they're gonna leave right now. How do streamers usually just avoid the awkward uh empty audience room while, you know, while they wait, while they wait for the chat room to fill up. Also, it's a rather new movie, so I don't want to give out spoilers. But I mean, read the book. Y'all had over 50 years to read the book, right? 50? More than 50, right? Came out in 1960s, around there. So if you haven't read the book, that's on you. So yeah, wait a minute. Is that a new setting for StreamYard? StreamYard has a new little setting thing. What is this? What is that? Is that like I can be like a little picture and then there's like something bigger going on? Oh my god, love that. Love that, because there's this, there's that, and then there's the full screen for the sharing screen. I'm loving this. I didn't even know that. Streamer didn't tell me anything about that. That's neat. That's fun. Maybe I can do like a little let's plays, of little video games that I like to play, and we'll just randomly chat about things rather than, shuffling cards 24/7. We'll see. Still waiting for people to show up though. Still waiting. And it's like, and this is where I think, oh, my channel is dead, but it's more like it more like hibernates, and then I just do a live stream and it's a-okay, So let's see here. What is this? I see this thing that my computer's telling me. What is this? Restart required. I don't care. Okay, so since I'm just gonna start venting then to talk about this movie, for this one person watching, lurking, screen recording maybe. Is my audio on? Yes, it should be on. So yeah, I just watched Dune. I literally watched it like 2 hours ago, maybe an hour ago. I watched it, and then what else did I do? I cleaned up my room, and then I went and had lunch, and then now and then I set up the stream, and here we are talking about it. So as the title suggests, of this live stream, Denis Villeneuve, the director, producer? No, he's a director. Producer? I'm pretty sure he's a good. Director, producer. What's the difference? I'm just kidding. I think producer just pretty much funds it and kind of helps, supports, makes it happen. Director, just guides and says this is what the movie should look like and how the actor should act and how it should be portrayed. I don't know. It's like they're the same thing to me. But either way, Denis Villeneuve understood the assignment, knew what he had to do, knew how to, make this movie, make this damn book palatable to a wider audience, I guess. Though really the book itself is actually not bad, and it's not like too out there compared to some other science fiction stuff that's out there. Um, but you know, it where it, I think loses people is when it gets into like the mysticism and the social commentary, because the time that this book was written, there's quite a bit that, you know, it's like I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, a lot of people will be watching this movie, and a lot of people that, you know, probably don't have enough critical thinking skills probably, or not very well aware of like the time frame that this book was written in, will have a lot of like probably like Middle Eastern like xenophobia still entrenched in them, particularly in the US audience. But this book was written in 1965, right? Yeah, 1965. And so Dune was, you know, like it it was essentially written during the time during like when in the Middle East, like there, like it was still like the height of uh you know uh, communist fears, you know, like they were afraid of like the domino effect, where it's like, oh, if more and more countries turn to communism, then they would eventually uh then eventually they would all become like a 1984 like dystopia type of world. I really need to get to reading 1984 though, but I read Animal Farm. I think I got the gist. um, but uh, you know, Dune kind of is like written in this perspective of, you know, essentially, I think Frank Herbert kind of like theorized or knew what the U.S. was gonna do to Afghanistan, and you know, well, I'd say Afghanistan. I could be wrong as to what country exactly, you know, but essentially the Middle East, and how America, you know, and its imperialism just, you know, fucked over the Middle East, and continued to up until recently. It's actually kind of funny how like the timing is very like of when this movie came out. Like we pull out of Afghanistan, like when was it, a month ago, right? Has it been a month already? God, like time needs to slow the fuck down. But anyway, so that comes out, and then now, you know, yesterday, no, day before yesterday, Dune is released. And you know, I feel like there is like a slow growing leftist movement kind of happening, and I think Dune is like released at the perfect time for that. But of course, watching the movie, the like leftist ideas aren't super prominent, if I'm not mistaken. I'd need to reread the book, and I'd need to brush up on socialist, you know, philosophy or whatever. But for the most part, Dune is very anti-capitalist, anti-exploitative, anti-imperialist. And this is why a lot of people, like I've seen like Tumblr posts like mention like Dune is like unfilmable, because it's so like its story is entirely anti-profit in a way. And it's more pro-profit. Hey, you see what I did there? Huh? Hello, Igor C. Good morning. What time is it over? Right? What time is it in Australia? It's 2:40 p.m. here. It's not the morning here. It's the afternoon. I'm just here rambling about Dune. Uh, I mean, the Baron is like the orange one. I mean, the orange one wishes he was the Baron. Let me tell you, the Baron would probably take advantage of Trump, and Trump would just take it. Like, let's be real. Like, truly. 8:40 a.m. Monday here. Oh, so are you gonna get ready to head up to work, right? I watched it yesterday. Yeah, I loved it. What did you think of it, Igor? Um, I loved it. I was like, yes, yes. If Denis Villeneuve doesn't do part two, it'll just be another chapter in Dune not getting the adaptation it deserves. and it would have just been another like sort of like I haven't seen the documentary of Jodorowsky's Dune, like the documentary on that. Oh, I'm you at work. He's not doing his work. He's distracted. Manager, he's distracted. I'm all. I don't know what you're working. It has its long moments, but it's very atmospheric. I like the music too. The music, Hans Zimmer. I mean, what's not to love? If your movie is set in space, you gotta have Hans Zimmer on it. Star Wars. I think Star Wars would have been saved if Hans Zimmer did the music. What the hell? Hello. But yeah, it has its long moments. I mean, yeah, the beginning is for the most part, compared to like the book, the beginning is like pretty, like he picked up the pace. He cut out quite a bit of things that like would have like drawn it out even more. So I can see why he did that, because the first half is a pretty slow burn, very much like playing the Game of Thrones, but he's like, no, let's pick up the pace actually. So yeah. What else? What else is there? I loved how, I don't know where to even begin. Like, yeah, I read the book a long time ago, so don't remember much. Yeah, I just recently read it, like I think last year in preparation for this, but I also watched it along with Danica XIX, Danica 19, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce her channel name, but she has a series called Dune Club, and she like goes through sections of the book, and she like dissects and discusses the ideas behind it. And I'm like, oh yes. I'm like, yes, oh wow. And it's like it really helped process the book and read the book. And so she's on like I think book 3 or book 4 maybe. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, it did feel like it was sticking to the story. It'll be interesting to see how they do Dune 2. Yeah. I read through the summary. Yeah, it's like just brush up your knowledge of it. It's so well done, but yeah, it's like he really just stuck to the plot elements, and stuck to the sort of like, again, it's like he isn't forgetting the narrative, though. I feel like the message that Dune is trying to send out, because there is a philosophy to Dune, other than like the mysticism and the spirituality that's behind it. So yeah, it's like it just goes to show, like they show it in the very middle, like, or not the middle, like towards the end. Yeah, they did gender swap Dr. Kynes, I believe was his name in the book, and same character, same name, but it's a woman, but nothing, like, it's again just a woman now. It's like, it's not like there's too much of a difference. They tease so much with her too, like when she spoilers, if you guys haven't seen the movie, just go watch it, come back to this when this is uploaded, or if I leave it up. I don't know if I'll leave it up. The spoiler alert, she gets murdered, she gets killed, and like she's like, but like they tease it, like right when she gets murdered, she's like about to hook onto a sandworm. She's like calling a sandworm to her to so she could ride it and escape, but then the Sardaukar, the warrior people, that are helping the Harkonnens, come and and stab her in the back. And I'm like, wow. But I'm like, oh wait, I think that does happen. So yeah, I also one thing that they do in there, that I think they cut this out, and they cut out the fact that Paul realizes that Lady Jessica is a Harkonnen, and so like he's a child of like incest and all that. And it's like, what? They also cut out another character. I think it's a brother or a cousin of no, I think it's brother to the Duke. No, Duke? Baron, not Duke. Duke Leto is the good guy. We stand Duke Leto, but the Baron Harkonnen, he has like 2 nephews, I believe. I think they're brothers, or maybe they're cousins. I'm not sure. I can't remember the family tree on that. But they just have Drax. What's his name? Dave Bautista, right? They have him play the one of the characters in there, but yes, absolutely, absolutely. They have him as the only like character there, but in the book that like yeah, they don't have the thin one, the thin muscular, like he's supposed to be like the opposite of Paul Atreides in the books. But and like the other nephew, what's his name? I can't remember his name. What's his name? I'm not sure, but Dave Bautista's character is in there, but he doesn't like take control at first when they when they massacre the House Atreides. It's like it's the other nephew of the Baron who takes over. Um, so and he's also like more handsome. He's also like more like, but he's also like very psychopathic. Well, I mean, all the Harkonnens are psychopathic. uh, and so so essentially how the Bene Gesserit, the nuns, the priestesses, the religious the religious sect were supposed to essentially yeah, that guy, that one that was Sting in the old movie, yes, with Lynch, yeah, he was supposed to be. So if Lady Jessica listened to the Bene Gesserit and had a daughter, you know, she would have married essentially Sting's character in the Lynch Dune movie, and that would have I would have been like, what? They would have married, like what would have happened? But because Lady Jessica had a son instead and had Paul, that like changed things. That was like, what? Lady Jessica really was, girl bossing and gatekeeping and gaslighting everyone in this in this plot. But anyways, what else is there? What else is there to talk about? There's so much to talk about just on Dune itself, like how it was like, how the political like intrigue is like, what, the world building is actually well done as well. Well, the visual world building, like how Gady Prime, is that how you pronounce it? I think how the world of the Harkonnens looks is very like, I loved how they did that, which is what I kind of liked about the Lynch film, because that one was like, it was super campy. It was camp. Oh, what? No, don't tell me anything about Dr. Sleep. I want to see. I want to read the book. I need to read The Shining and read that. I don't. I haven't heard of anything from. I haven't seen anything that she's been in though. But yeah. But anyways. Yeah, the way it was filmed gave it a huge feel to it. Which one, Lynch or Denis Villeneuve? Because I will say Villeneuve succeeded. One thing I don't like about the Villeneuve film, but it still looks beautiful. But it's still like this modernist, minimalist, but futuristic type of look to it. This new one, oh yeah. How it was, yeah, yeah. It's a whole like, truly, it's a feast for the eyes, But I will say though that I feel at times it's like, okay, and I need to watch the documentary that Jodorowsky did on like what could have been. But I will say, on the other hand, though, I read titles of articles saying that Jodorowsky thought, or was like throwing shade to Denis Villeneuve, and I'm like talking shit, like, and saying like that Denis Villeneuve's Dune would be terrible or whatever. And I'm like, watching this, I'm like, and I haven't seen anything from Jodorowsky, so I'm like, I'd have to see like some of Jodorowsky's films to actually like say like, you know what, I kind of would have liked to see Jodorowsky do Dune. But I think after watching Twin Peaks, I think I watched like what, up to season 2. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I stopped watching it, but watching Twin Peaks and seeing Lynch's filming style and his aesthetics, I don't think it really would have. I think it was just made to be it was just set up to be not as good. I don't think it would have fit with Dune's take. I think they just saw like, oh, mystical spiritualism. Lynch and Jodorowsky are pretty into that type of stuff. Let's do that. And it's like, well, that kind of takes that does play a role in Dune, but really it's a lot of the social commentary and the economic and political commentary that's being had in Dune as a piece of anti-imperialist media, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like I watched Squid Games, and that's also has its anti-capitalist, ideas in it. And I've seen around. There's a channel on here called by this guy named Tim Pool, and he totally like took it as like an anti-communist take or an anti-socialist take. I'm not sure what the correct term would be, but I'm like, okay, like how can you not see it? And so to me, it's like, if this is the type of audience that Dune is being presented to, it's like, will its message or will its themes and the movie as a whole be truly appreciated for what it stands and what it represents and what it's trying to say, if people are really gonna just like take these ideas and narratives and be like, no, actually I think the Harkonnens are right, and it's like, what? You're gonna agree with the guy that's bathing in a vat of black viscous mud, whatever the fuck, I don't know. I'm expecting the crowd to whine how woke Dune is, etc. It's actually not that woke. Like, it's well done. It's not like Netflix woke, where Netflix does like a weird. Netflix has a weird thing of like, or like how Disney even like tries to be like, look, representation. It's like, you know, to quote someone, there are good people on both sides. I love how like the Harkonnens are just evil, they are not redeemable. The Harkonnens and even the Emperor himself, an insecure, jealous man. It's like, girl, and even Paul like sees like the how dangerous he can become if he doesn't tread lightly. Like he sees they say the holy war, and I think that's actually a pretty smart change that Denis Villeneuve did, because in the book they say jihad. Oh, I probably got demonetized right there. I'm not going to monetize this. This is a very weird chat. But in the book he actually says jihad. But again, remember, this is during a time, this was written in 1965, probably even during the few years before its publication in like 1962, 1963. The political, social, and cultural environment of the Middle East was very different compared to how it is now. Like, case in point, 9/11 hasn't happened yet, and so now it's like, that's actually, I think, a smart move, because again, this isn't the anti-woke people, where it's like the people who are like, usually the people that are saying like, where was it, right? Yeah. The people that are gonna complain about that, being too woke and all that, and are the people who are complaining about like James Bond possibly being black in future films. Those are usually like conservative, right-wing type of people who like don't care about their feelings, but yet I'm pretty sure Denis Villeneuve had to change that word from jihad to holy war, because it would just bring a lot of like, it would trigger a lot of people. Like, let's be real, but point is though, that Paul, the hero, the protagonist, doesn't want that holy war to happen. I like how they show it, how Timothée Chalamet portrays it as like he's terrified, he's like having like an existential crisis right in this little tent. Let's see, what is this? Yeah, and they actually don't care about what they're saying. They just say it because it gets views for them. That's how I see a lot of it. Yeah, truly, they really just say it to appeal to a certain crowd and to stroke a certain crowd's ego. But really, it's like you're triggered. You're saying like, oh, all these people are getting triggered. It's like, well, you're the one having a meltdown over, I don't know, over Ariel being black, or um I don't know what else, or Superman's son being bisexual. It's like, it's just, it's all fantasy. You can find other pieces of media that where it is all white heterosexual stories that you can stick to, that you're comfortable with, but those have already been done, and those are, let's be honest, boring. um so yeah, but anyways, to talk about the movie though. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there was that one guy who consistently posted vids about Captain Marvel and Brie Larson hating men. It's like, oh my gosh. Let's be honest here though. It's like, like Captain Marvel was okay. It was, and we can go into like Marvel being, just like, it's very safe and generic, and there's so many issues with Marvel as a whole. And so like Captain Marvel, it's like Captain Marvel was kind of a warning sign for how Black Widow the movie was going to become, and how it was going to be received. Like, I don't think anybody really liked Black Widow. And even watching I need to rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I feel like there's some social political commentary as well that you might be able to draw parallels to that, to Dune. But yeah, I found it a fun movie, but all those comments about it being anti-men, etc., was just stupid. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's like, what? It's like you're just projecting this idea that it's anti-men. What? How does something be anti-men? I need to watch Y the Last Man. I need to see how they do that, because I love the comics, but I wasn't as like aware of the things in there. It really is focused on like, gender politics, but it misses the intersectionality of race and racism. Well, I should say just racism in the American the USA political system and social system, and the hierarchy that's in there. Yeah. I'm like, should I reread those comics? It's like, on one hand, it's like, I want to reread it so I can like watch the show. And then but then on the other hand, I'm like, no, I kind of want to read the Berserk manga. What to do. But anyways, but yeah, again, but this in general, I found it fun. I found it a fun movie. That, I think, is just the general Marvel experience, and that's like, it's really like not doing much of a social commentary. It's very not this. Marvel could never. I should say Disney Marvel could never. They almost did something quite different with WandaVision, and I love WandaVision for like really like finally pushing the boundaries in terms of like telling a movie story, like telling a compelling, interesting story. But almost Captain America, and not Captain America. I want to call it Captain America because it kind of is Captain America. But Winter Soldier and Falcon, that one, it almost had like a good idea, but then they made they almost had a very good like antagonist, not a villain, but like an antagonist, really, in that show with the girl who got like the superpowers, who was able to get the superhero serum, or somehow, I can't remember what, but they had a good narrative there. And then how they resolved it was just super like, what? So like, what? And then they like made her from antagonist to straight up villain, and I was like, what? Oh, spoilers, I haven't seen Winter Soldier yet. I heard that that has that social commentary in it. It tries to do a social commentary, I have to say. Like it saw where it was going, and it realized, oh wait, our villain isn't villainy enough, and they have her do something out of character, really, to kind of justify it. But then they also introduce a different villain. I'm like, oh, love that. that was a nice twist. Uh, but for the main villain, like, and again, it's also quite confusing, and it's very difficult like to wrap your head around like what is the social setup for 5 years of people being gone and then them coming back, and then what was that really wasn't clearly explained. Like mid through the season of Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, is that what this is about? And then suddenly I realized, oh, that's what happened. Like and through like several videos discussing it, I was like, oh, okay, that's what this was. Oh, okay. And then but towards the end I was like, oh wait, no, I'm actually siding with the girl here. I don't side with Falcon and the Winter Soldier on this issue. Another thing that I liked about Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, let me tell you this right now, the title, horrible. Horrible title. Like I can barely say it. Like WandaVision, wonderful. You got Wanda and Vision, WandaVision, so yeah, it's different. Hi there. Are there personal questions that can be asked here? Is it why is it that when I make a chat, nowhere on here does it say tarot, and yet here they're asking like, oh, is for a tarot reading? No, I'm not doing tarot readings right now. I'm talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I intended this to be me gushing about Denis Villeneuve. But for some reason, Marvel just weaseled itself into this conversation. Oh, absolutely! It's like it really does like do a good job of like showing like the extremes of it. But it's like, honestly, it's like I've come to realize that sometimes these sci-fi dystopian, like kind of exaggerated things turn out to actually not be too far off. Like the religious aspect of it, we've done that, like or at least Europe has done that, or the church has done that specifically, I should say. Where they essentially culturally and religion, spiritual, like did spiritual erasure, essentially like a spiritual genocide or something like that, to the Native Americans here in North America, and well, in all of Americas really. Though we see these extremes now. Yeah, I mean, we have our barons already. Yeah, and the thing is that it's like we have our barons and we have our emperors as well. And that's the thing. Like the emperor is so easily like kind of maybe forgotten sometimes, but you have to remember that he's also like at the top of like this reign of like evil as well. But as well as like the Bene Gesserit, like the religious, the church essentially, how they went to all these inhabited planets and instilled or essentially like injected their own spiritual and religious myths and stories and practices into these cultures' own spiritual practices, much how we see how like the Virgin Mary has like, and the deity, I believe Coatlicue, I believe the lady of the serpent skirt or whatever, like these two, this Aztec goddess and the Virgin Mary were kind of like combined into one, and created this here, and like they injected their philosophies into these traditions. So yeah, words 7, 8, 9. I have my gripes about the Denis Villeneuve movie. Sometimes I think of Bene Gesserit. I don't think the Jesuits, I don't know much on the Jesuits, but I believe they're more. No, I'm not gonna say it. I don't know much on it. But yeah, but what are your issues with or your gripes on the Denis Villeneuve Dune film? Because I think so far execution wise, not Leto, the film as a whole, I think he did a good job. I think he did a good job. But in terms of like wanting more, this is one of the criticisms that people have, is that it leaves much to be desired. And it's like, yeah, it totally is like the first half of a story that needs to be completed. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I would like to see part two. give the director all the money. Like, let's see. Like when Oscar Isaac is like, we need to watch our backs on Arrakis, and he still get betrayed. I mean, that's literally that's yeah, that's the point of betrayal. It's yeah, but you see that like it's still not perfect, because also it's like you saw that, you know, you saw Paul also almost get assassinated with that little, with the little hunter seeker that, you know, almost kills him. You know, so nowhere is really safe, uh, really, on Dune. Let's see. The ending of the movie didn't seem satisfying, though. Yeah, no, absolutely not. That ending was not satisfying at all. It really is just, again, end of part one. Like, really, like, again, it like stops, I believe, in the book. Where is it? Yeah. Let's see. Let's see right here. They're running. Okay. We found that. They're okay. Yeah. The upper. Okay. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, it's like somewhere about around here. You know, like this much of the book was done. So yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Also, do we really need like 15 minutes of slow mo if that girl from Spider-Man broke up the pacing? I mean, it really is just prophecies. You know, they're visions of the future that he keeps seeing. I will say, yeah, they do show up quite a bit. But again, I think in the later half, like that's going to be gone, because I think in the book that doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, but that's in the book though. Like that's purely a thing from the book. Uh, let's see. Like yeah, we didn't need like 10 of those of the same dream flashbacks. Yeah, sameness. Yeah, it's that. I can agree with that. It's like, but you know, it's surprisingly palatable to me. But again, I'm not sure if you read the book, Word 789, but I'm pretty sure people who read the book were probably like, oh yeah, like I'm pretty sure they loved it. You know. Let's see. The ending was rushed AF, like as if a sequel was confirmed, like Lord of the Ring trilogy, but it's not a sequel. It's not green. Yeah, they need to greenlit it. Yeah, I like. Again, that ending is rushed AF. It's rushed because I feel like that ending scene, that last scene, if you were to cut out the music and change it with some other type of music, it's literally a transition scene to them going to, I believe, if how I'm seeing this right, he kills Jameis, is that his name? Kills him, then they have a funeral for him, you know, and they have this ritual. Like Paul inherits everything that Jameis has, his wife and his and his children, I believe, and you know, also all his possessions and all his belongings and all the water that Jameis had. You know, that's he gets all that in that after that, but they're headed towards that, and I think I'm pretty sure that's also filmed, maybe. I'm not sure, because there's a scene where they have like, I know there's like a gif, I saw it somewhere, of a bat that, you know, the bat scene in the book. They have that. I believe, I could have sworn I saw that somewhere. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, he's living that future. Living what future? What do you mean by that, Paul? But yeah, but again, the book is like, again, riddled with dream sequences and visions and all that. But yeah, this should have been a TV show. Too much for a 2-hour movie. You see, a part of me is like, no, I think a 2-part movie actually would work with this book. I think how they're doing it actually would work well. But a part of me is also like, no, I think yeah, you might hate this idea, but I'm all for it. And it's like, I think they should just do a 4-hour movie. Like it, the movie, like it, part one and part two, if they like edited and cut the two movies together and interlayered them and like had them, as it was written in the book, like that, I think would have made like probably made an interesting movie, possibly. My theory, like just my fantasy. But that would have been like, again, over 4 hours, very long. But no, I think it did a good job. I found, like, I was like expecting everything. I think it's because I read the book and I've seen the old movie, and watching that, it's like, honey, if uh yeah, another grip. What is that? Like another take on it? Let's see. I think it would have been worse if they squished it into a 3-hour movie. No, I mean, I say 4 hours to give it like a good, comfortable take on it, because the second part is like all out war, all out revolution, like, but it's like happens rather quick. Like the final battle like happens in like one chapter. It's like, and the book itself, actually no, the book itself is pretty rushed, but I think it's because Frank Herbert really didn't focus too much on battle sequences. So yeah. Uh, yeah, they're asleep. Yeah, literally. I think that is one of the things that they don't really like hammer away. And this is, again, I think this is where, again, Frank Herbert really wasn't trying to make a war movie, or like a movie that is similar to like where Lord of the Rings has really great, amazing battle sequences. No. Yeah, they had their shields too, but one, who was it? Critical. I watched his discussion. I'm like, did he like it? I want to see what he said about it. And he mentions like, oh yeah, like the shields are there, but like they do nothing. And it's like, but that's also in the book as well. It's like the shields are there, but still people die. Still people get hurt. And so, so they're kind of a bit obsolete, but yeah, that's the best that they had. But also they don't really hammer away the fact that the Sardaukar are like vicious, like like made for battle and made for war, and war and battle is all they know. But yeah, like again, it just, I think they did that to show like, oh, they were really caught off guard and all that. It's, yeah. They weren't ready for a battle. They were, yeah. I don't have a really good rebuttal in terms of like in universe, like, oh no. But again, I think it's twofold of like Frank Herbert really not really thinking militantly, or like as like a military approach to the narrative, because that's not the focus of this of the book. Like again, like the battle sequences are really weirdly written, and they're not really like very clear. So yeah. You're not with Dune. Do not expect the Battle of Helm's Deep or anything like Game of Thrones that you've seen, like any battle sequences like that in Dune. So yeah, I mean, House Atreides literally were on high alert. They knew something wasn't right on Arrakis. Oh no! Here's the thing. I think they all knew they were walking into a trap. Actually, I think in the book, or at least in the narrative, it suggested that Leto understood that the Emperor was gonna backstab him. I think he knew. They don't really emphasize that, but it's like, no, they know. This isn't like a red wedding. It's the red wedding in Game of Thrones. If the Starks knew, oh, this is what this wedding's for. Okay. It really wasn't for shock or awe. They knew they were walking into a trap. Yeah, House Atreides just ends up looking incompetent, and that's a shame too, because I think in the book, they're supposed to be like, not incompetent, but they're supposed to be like the good guys, like the good guys in the way that like they, some good guys in the way that they're like everybody likes them, because there's other houses other than like the Harkonnens and the Atreides that are kind of siding with the Atreides, and so the Emperor is like kind of like, what the fuck, like if he gets any more power, Duke Leto can become Emperor, or if not, his descendants can become emperor, and I don't want that. I want my control. I want to hold on to this power that I have. Let's see, like, say if I walk into a trap, I'm gonna have some soldiers on standby. Yeah. One last gripe. I know I'm. I think no. Go on. It's discourse. It's discourse. It gives me something to talk about. Let's see. I kind of think it more like they knew something was wrong, but didn't realize how bad it was. I think a part of it. It's like, again. I think it's just. I think this that plot point, or the aspect of the plot, just falls victim to, again, Herbert not really wanting to make it a full on strong focus on war and the military. He really isn't, like, again, in the book, it's like, it's there, it's like, yeah, like, people are dying, Kim, but it's not like fully thought out. If he was making that type of book, I think it would for sure have been written differently and all that. So yeah. But yeah, but let's see. I want to see the last issue you had with Dune. So yeah, there's and also, here's another thing, is that also, oh right, here's the thing. I can see why you think this as well, and why they feel so unprepared and so caught off guard, even though they knew that they were on high alert. Is that the doctor is, it's very not, it's sort of kind of like made it like a reveal, a twist. The doctor, the guy with the diamond on his forehead, oh, he's the one that betrayed them. And it's like, I knew he was going to betray them. And in the book, you also know, you are looking through his perspective, and you know that his wife is captured and is being tortured, probably dead at this point, but Yue doesn't know that. And so Yue is then manipulated into betraying House Atreides, and having all the shields down, having all the security down, and having everything left open so that the Sardaukar and the Harkonnens can storm Arrakis and take control of it again and massacre the Atreides. Again, it's mostly because he doesn't want to have blood on his hands. Like, we all know that it's the Emperor doing things, but he also does it in the way so that the Harkonnens can, because the Harkonnens are like the assholes of the universe, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys, of course. But really, they don't understand that it's like, here, Harkonnens, I'm giving you all the help you need to do this thing that I want you to do to eliminate House Atreides. And that's what's going on there. And that's why, they do it like that. That's why, he sends them to it, Again, they even say it. It's like, and even, you're talking like the Harkonnens when the Baron is having his steam bath, It's like, don't take this as a gift, It's all a setup and all that. Let's see, why did the doctor betray them and then give him a fake tooth to kill the Emperor? He gave him a fake tooth to kill the Baron, because he knows, like, he can't reach the Emperor. This is all the Baron. Like, the Emperor is not going to be anywhere near this. Was it a contingency in case the Baron killed him? Most likely. I think Dr. Yue knows that the Harkonnens do not keep their word. Like, they'll make promises. Baron. Yeah. They'll make promises, but never take a Harkonnen's word for what it, like, don't trust ever. So Dr. Yue is at least smart enough to know, like, okay, I'm doing this thing, hopefully maybe I'll get my wife back, but but if not, I'm gonna have the security and be like, or maybe he's also like, also fuck you, Baron, for taking my wife and doing this to my family, like, as probably a way of right, contingency. Is that what? Honestly, I don't know what contingency means. I always hear it and I think I know what it means, but I have no idea what it means. Let me just Google this real quick. That's a multisyllabic word. I don't know. Well, I always hear it, but I never really, like, solidify what the word means. Contingency. But that's how I walk through life. A future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, I think he knew that he was going to get killed. I think he, because again, and that's the thing. That's the problem with, Dune, is like you kind of need a bit of world building beforehand and some understanding of like, oh, these are the assholes of the universe, of this universe, and how bad they truly are. And I don't think they really hammered that away. Like you can tell they're evil, but not like that evil. Yeah, contingency. Yeah, backup plan in case something went wrong. Yeah. I looked it up. But yeah, that's why really a lot of this anchored on Dr. Yue betraying the Atreides. Like if Dr. Yue didn't, then yeah. Um, uh, Doc kind of says it when he comes to, yeah, it's like all like quickly done and quickly said. He's very sorry about doing it. It's for his wife, and he sees an opportunity to hit back at the Baron. Yeah, in the book, it's like because you're kind of viewing through Yue's perspective, and you even know, like they say, he gives Paul a Bible, and it's his wife's Bible, actually, I think, and there's like a section in it that was like a favorite verse of the Bible of his wife's, and like Paul opens it up and like reads it out because it's like highlighted or something, and like that like jabs at Yue, and like it's just it like he's emotionally like in turmoil here. But in the movie he's very much like just silent, like you don't really like, you kind of see something suspicious. And if you've read the book or you've seen the other movies, or the other media or the other iterations of Dune, I'm sure that you'll see that Dr. Yue also is emotionally in turmoil. um but that's why essentially it's all hankering or latching itself onto that. And there's, I think, I'm not sure well, there's more to it, but yeah. But again, no, Aquaman didn't survive long though. Yeah. I watched that and I was like, wait a minute. I know Duncan Idaho dies. When is he gonna die? And I see him like coming through and I'm like, oh right, he dies right here. Ooh, another issue. Let's see. I want to hear all the issues because I loved it, but I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can agree how people can get irritated with the dreamy mystical stuff that happens, like all like the visions of Zendaya. And I think they also did that to kind of like have Zendaya's allure. Honestly, I wasn't really going for Zendaya because I just was going because it's Dune, and it's Denis Villeneuve. But I can see why they wanted to put her throughout the movie and be like, look, she's here. Calm down. Like, she's not here. she's in Timothée Chalamet's head. Like, but yeah, like a lot of the characters don't survive for long. Leto Atreides, Dr. Yue, Duncan Idaho. Who else? Who else dies? Quite a lot of other people die. Who else they don't really like show like what happens with? I think we'll see in part 2 if they make a part 2. They need to make a part 2. I'm gonna put it out in the universe. They're making a part 2. Is the what's his name? Oh my gosh, he's literally a human computer. He's not a cyborg. He's not a robot. He's like he's a human computer. He's like a human that's like trained to do super fast calculations and really like lots of facts and all that. It's a thing. It's a thing. Dune is also very strangely very anti-technology. So keep that in mind as well, which they don't really hammer away in the movie because it's a sci-fi movie. It's a sci-fi story. When you think of sci-fi, you're gonna think of, sci-fi tech and all this and that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's not the case in the movie, in the book at least. But the guy, like he had like a little square on his lips in the movie. He becomes the Harkonnens like little, essentially human calculator. Let's see. When the Harkonnens kidnap Jessica and Paul, they're like, no, we can't kill them because in case the truthsayer asks them if they killed them, It isn't leaving them in the desert, pretty much is leaving them for dead. It's because it's like it's this weird, like, you can lie but not lie to a truth sayer, and it's because, again, the Bene Gesserit have some power, I say some, it's like quite a bit of power, and Harkonnens and the Bene Gesserit made a deal, like, do not harm her, don't harm the son, again, it leads back to that scene in the very beginning. Did you watch the beginning, girl? Did you not see what happened in the beginning, where he talks about where the Baron and the Bene Gesserit high priestess, whatever she is, are talking, and they make a deal, but it's like, I'm like, really, is this Bene Gesserit really gonna fall for this? Like, that's kind of the thing, it's like, don't trust the Harkonnen. Same with Dr. Yue, and so he's like saying, no, I will not kill them, and she said, like, offer them exile, and they actually do. They're like, they give them exile, and I think in the Bene Gesserit's mind, when she said exile, I think she was thinking like, oh, they'll go back to Caladan or some other planet or something, so they did, so that they're not, so they're not dead, but they're in exile. And technically, the Harkonnens kind of keep that promise. They're like, yeah, they'll be in exile in the desert with no moisture suit. What are they called? I can't remember. But yeah, it's everyone falling for the Harkonnens tricks, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, she didn't offer clarification. No, I'm like the Bene Gesserit. That Bene Gesserit high priestess would have for sure lost the Game of Thrones. Baron plays on words like he did with the dog, talking about a wife. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that's why. And also, plot needed, Paul and Lady Jessica to have a way to escape. Because again, it's like, if they truly were brutal, they would have red wedding them, and Paul would have been dead, and we wouldn't have, the protagonist, and the rest of, and that would be the end of the movie. It would be an hour-long movie. But no, there's more to it. And because, again, it's like, again, they kind of highlight that point of, like, Arrakis was originally going to be terraformed. We're in this sci-fi world, we're so far in the future, 10,000, like 8,000 years in the future, really, from our world, over 8,000 years in the future. They have the technology and the capabilities of terraforming a planet, but once they realize that they have spice on this planet and it's rich in it, it's like everywhere, they refuse to do that, because if they did that, if they terraformed it, that would eliminate the spice. And so what are you gonna do? You gotta exploit, you gotta capitalize, and commodify, is that the right word? The spice must flow, so yeah. See, this is one that I was like, oh, they got him. This, when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, they got the Baron? Like, he straight up got a full-on face blast of that poison, right? I thought that too, but no, apparently he, like, floated all the way to the top of the ceiling, and he was able to survive off of a pocket of air. I'm not sure if that happens in the books, now that I'm really thinking about it, but I believe in the books, he's able to get away from and get out of the room, actually, before the poison kills everyone, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. But I'm pretty sure he does get a good face blast of the poison, Let's see here. But yeah, a lot of what you're saying, like a lot of the questions and the issues that you have with it, it's like, if you read the book, you're kind of like, I know why. But it's like, yeah. So I guess that answers one of the questions that I've had of, if you did not read the book, and you watch this movie, is it more enjoyable? Or if you went through it, without reading the book, did you like it or not? And it's like my friend enjoyed it. Quite a few other people enjoyed it without reading the book, from what I've read. But again, everyone's different. Everybody has their own. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's there. Let's see. Is this it? Is this it? Let's see. Okay, here it is. I found it. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, in the book he doesn't survive by like floating all the way at the top, like no, and escaping the poison and the shield protecting him a little bit. No, in the book he like is able to act fast enough to get out of the room and close the doors and have everyone in the room die. So yeah, it's like have him escape. I think. Leto also doesn't care about the spice. He just wants the freeman in his army. Absolutely, yeah, totally, absolutely. Which in turn kind of shows that Leto, although comparably to the Harkonnens, is a better guy, and even to the Emperor, a way nicer guy. Again, still wanted actual power and actually wanted to make human connection. Understood that power comes through like connecting with people, and you saw how he was like sending Duncan Idaho to contact the Fremen. But again, it's like he still want, like, in a way it's like, did he still want power? I need to reanalyze like Leto, though you don't really get much from him. He dies. Yeah, he dies at like on page 180 out of the 100 and 500, 400, right? Yeah, almost 500 page book. So yeah. I'm curious to know how the spice helps with space travel. I don't think it's ever explained. Absolutely. Yeah, they kind of mention it. So spice extends life. It makes you live longer. It also like helps you enter, like it helps with your mind in a way. Yeah, it's really not clear. I'm pretty sure maybe in like other books it explains space travel and how it helps. But again, with the spice, they say that they're able to, and I think in a way able to prolong their life, and essentially, yeah, because you live longer through it. And so like through space travel, your body is like kind of like suspended through time, maybe. It's just vague. Yeah, it's very the softest of soft magic and of spice. So yeah, there was no space travel scene in this movie. Yeah, no, it's like you only see like the ships. You see them like enter the ships, and then they're delivered into that. So yeah, I'm not sure if they ever described the guild. The guild is like essentially the taxi service of space in a way. They're the USPS of space travel, though here they're kind of also, or no, not USPS. They're the UPS or the FedEx of space travel. Because again, they are also in on it too. It's the guild, it's the Bene Gesserit, and the Emperor. All the three kind of together. You have the market, which is the guild. The trade of everything, the trade of materials and all that, which is the guild. You have the religious aspect with the Bene Gesserit, and then you have the political aspect with the Emperor there. And all of it hinges on the spice, so yeah, how politically it hinges on the spice, I can't remember how, but I do know that it's like the spice is also used, by the Bene Gesserit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. So yeah, it's there's I think it's because it prolongs your life. Let me see. Oh, my throat got really itchy. Also, it's like Dune. Also, let me tell you this right now. I think this is why this is why Dune is such a difficult film to make, is because you have appendices, you know, in the back of the book to kind of explain a lot of the terminology and the things that show up uh, in in Dune. You know, let's see. They also don't call it melange. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. The spice of spices, the crop of which Arrakis is the unique source. Okay, so I didn't realize that. I'm like, wait a minute. Did, like, is spice found on other planets? And it, based on this, I guess it's not found on other planets. The spice, chiefly noted for its geriatric qualities, is mildly addictive when taken in small quantities, severely addictive when imbibed in quantities above 2 grams daily per 70 kilos of body weight. Muad'Dib, the Paul, claimed the spice was key to his prophetic powers. Guild navigators make similar claims. Its price on the imperial market has ranged as high as 620,000 Solaris, the decagram. What that means, I'm not sure. So again, it's like, really, it does something to the brain. You know, it does something to the brain and the body, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's because I believe somewhere it extends your life. You know, so you're able to travel through space a really long time. But again, I think, and at least in this book, they don't really like go into detail as to how the spice itself plays a part into space travel. So yeah. Let's see. I wonder how much they need to use that they need to farm so much. So it's like, again, they need to. It's all these several different planets. You know, Caladan, Gaiety Prime, the planet that the Emperor lives on, the Warring Planet where all the Sardaukar are at. Those are just 4 of several planets, and Arrakis. That's 5, I think, right? Those are just a few of the planets that they had, that, you know, and just between all those, there's so much trade and travel between all of them. You know, we have the spice itself that is coming from Dune. Spice is the oil. Spice is an equivalent to natural resources and oil. In it's equivalent to oil here, really. You know, if we cut it out and we get rid of all of it, like, our infrastructure, our economic infrastructure collapses. A lot of it hinges on it. And as we've seen, like, research is showing that, like, we're kind of starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel when it comes to oil. And also we see the dangers of what oil can do. You know, the dangers of what, you know, oil can do. We just had another oil spill off the coast of California, like, I think a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. And like, yeah. Anyways, let's see. In the end, Jessica is all ninja fighting all the Freemen. So why doesn't she fight that one guy calling them out? Why does Paul fight him? That's a more cultural thing. She understands that she can't fight him. There's like a hierarchy thing, because they acknowledge, again, it's very brief, it's very quick, that they're like, oh, Jessica is this high priest, like you've seen her with like the writing on the face. That's like a vision of what she will become on Arrakis, you know. You know, she so essentially, like, she can't fight him like herself. Like, there's like some rule says that, you know, she can't fight him for some reason. I can't remember what it was. Again, more plainly written in the book. But again, it's like Paul champions for her. Again, it's like Game of Thrones, the Mountain and the Serpent, that fight, you know, same rules apply, you know. So yeah, again, I'm not sure that you, but for a little bit more, other than like, oh, she can't fight. There's a reason why. I think it's because they understand her. I think it's because she like, I need to rewatch that scene then. Because I'm like, wait a minute, does she say that? Or am I confusing the book with what happens in the movie? But again, yeah, she the point is that she can't fight. You know, they can't have her fight. They can't kill her because she has a responsibility now, in a way, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. And that's why. Right? I'm not sure. um so yeah. But anyways, yeah, and again, it's like in the book they actually kind of take some time and say like, oh, like this is Fremen culture and Fremen, you know, practice as to like how they deal with certain situations like this. And so yeah. 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 Also, I completely forgot. I could have sworn that I don't think this was in the book, but or I completely forgot it from reading the book. Was, you know, Paul also had visions of Jamis, the guy that he fights and kills, and sees visions of him. And I think that scene kind of sets in stone like the dangers or the unreliability of his prophetic visions. You know, you see in one image, Zendaya's character Chani, right? Yeah, Chani, kill Paul. When what happens really in the story is she falls in love with him, and you know, um, and they have kids together. Then so but you kind of see that set up here, to say like, oh, these prophetic visions, these dreams that he's seeing aren't so reliable, because in these visions you see that Jamis is like teaching him and is like a mentor to him, and is obviously like talking to him in like as a friend or a mentor to him, you know. um, and you think like, oh, he's actually gonna, you know, they're gonna turn around. And that's why he doesn't like want to kill him as well. He, you know, he's like, yield, you know, because he tries to save him, but that's not what happens, because you know, the ball was already rolling, and you know, he had to kill him. Had to kill him. Because the culture of what they had, you know, it's a cultural thing. So yeah. So yeah. Anyways, we've been on for an hour talking about Dune. Um, I highly recommend, if you know you have like tons of questions, all the questions about Dune, um, I recommend two channels. Danica XIX, or Danica 19. She has a great series on the first book of Dune. Like, I read through it. I read through the book and watched the series along with it. And I'm going to do the same for uh, Dune Messiah. Is that the second book? I can't remember. It's like there's Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune. I think that's how it goes. And there's like two more books after that. Um, but yeah, but again, I'll try and get the books and read through them and see. But she does a good job of kind of explaining, and this is where I got a lot of the things that I kind of explain away, like that's not really stated in the movie. Uh, that's where I got a lot of things. I'm like, oh, so that's why the issue with the Emperor, why he did that, why the Harkonnens are, why the setup and everything, and why the Atreides walked into a trap, and all that. She does a way better job of explaining it than I did, so highly recommend that. As well as, I believe his name is Quinn's Ideas. He is a major, huge fanboy of Dune. He and in sci-fi and fantasy in general, but mostly Dune. Mostly Dune. Dune is a strong feature on his channel. I think his name is Quinn's Ideas. Really good resource for that, for all Dune lore. If you don't care to read the books, but you want to get the ideas and get some like understanding as to why things are the way they are in this universe, and why they are, like, again, like questions like this perfectly are explained by them. They do a much better job than what I could do myself. Who else? What else? There's another one. I think damn, I'm trying to remember that channel's name, that other YouTube channel's name, but I can't. Wisecrack, right? Wisecrack. They did like a take, right? Was it Wisecrack or Wisecast? I'm not sure, but they do talk about Dune as well, and like it's and how Dune, uh, as a science fiction narrative or a science fiction story, really changed things up because what you had before it was like Foundation and 1984, I think, and quite a few other ones. But Dune really did like change the game and offer something new and different uh, to the sci-fi genre. So yeah, and honestly, sci-fi itself would not be what we know it as today without Dune influencing a lot of other sci-fi media. I think even Star Wars, you know, the sandworms, they're everywhere. So yeah, so there you go. Uh, I hope you all enjoyed. This was a rather interesting, very slow, but again, my channel isn't really known for doing live streams or chats like this, but you know, I just wanted to vent and talk about it. Uh, so as a last remarks on the movie as a whole, visually beautiful, sonically beautiful, you know, and honestly, probably the best way to adapt Dune to a modern audience. Honestly, I'm like, if anybody could do it, it would have been Denis Villeneuve, just from the different movies that I've seen him do. Just based off of Arrival, I'm like, he could do it. I trust in him. Blade Runner 2049, even it wasn't a perfect movie. It wasn't a good movie compared to like the original Blade Runner. But I think he was able to stand on his own and do his own thing with, you know, with what he had. Um, Loved it. So now I kind of want to go and watch Sicario and Prisoners again, maybe. For sure Sicario, because I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and all I know is that it's like, oh, way different. And then like they did a sequel to Sicario, and it wasn't by Villeneuve, but again, kind of like loses the ideas and the narrative behind the movie, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Did Denis Villeneuve direct Sicario? Let me look this up. I'm gonna have to look this up. Let me look this up on my phone. Let me look this up right now. I'm gonna look this up right now. Hold on. And I guess in conclusion, I'm a Denis Villeneuve stan, you know. And he needs to make part two, because if he doesn't, it's just gonna like support like, or you know, push the narrative of Dune's lack of unadaptability further down the line throughout history. You know, because again, it's infamous for being so really difficult to adapt. Yeah, Prisoners, Sicario, yeah, yeah. What's this? What's going on here? Yeah, no, I was like, oh, I saw like a Google link and it's like, oh, Dune 2. No. Still like it's all talking about Dune 2 question mark. No. I want to have it confirmed. uh because it honestly it's just beautiful as a film, like just to watch it, you know, just to go watch it, you know, just to see it, you know, it's like I would like to see it. So yeah, I will be then watching Sicario, and I hope you all enjoyed. It was nice having a nice little discussion with you, Words 789. So yeah, I guess that's it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will try and do a video on tarot for once, as keep on brand. um, and so yeah, and I'll see you all in the next live stream or video, probably video, because I finally finished studying up on this thing, so I can finally talk about it in a video later down the line soon. Hopefully it'll be on my Patreon first though, so if you want to see that, you could support me on Patreon. Oh. And I also have something that I wanted that I'm probably going to share on Patreon as well, but I'm not sure if I should promote it on here. We'll see. If I just keep it as Patreon only, we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, Thank you all for stopping by. It was a very small chat. It's just Igor C and Word 789, which, you know, a part of me says, I want more. I want more people in my chat. But then another part of me is like, no, because then I'm going to lose that one-on-one chat that I have with a smaller group of people. And I'll miss that. It's a double-edged sword. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye, everyone.